But apparently the Civil War isn't over yet. Confederate monuments and statues to people like Christopher Columbus around the U.S. are being toppled as symbols of white supremacy, and Nascar just announced they're banning any depiction of the rebel flag. The military says they're open to discussing the idea of renaming Army bases that honor some of the Confederate leaders and maybe naming them for leaders who are less polarizing. But of course, you-know-who says he will not even consider it, calling them part of a great American heritage of winning, victory, and freedom. Has he read? Does he know anything? Is it me? Or have I lost my mind? He's calling a winning, they lost. Is this a deliberate
That's right.
thing? I mean, I don't... It's not like we're making stuff up. It's in the history books. What are we celebrating here,
Right,
Sonny?
I thought when you lost a war, that was you were the loser. To the victor go the spoils. Why do people continue to think that the South won the war? I mean, and why preserve statues of traitors? Why not put Benedict Arnold in the middle of Washington Square, if that's the case? Okay? You know what I heard this morning? A very interesting thing. I mean, I heard this on TV this morning from somebody on one of the channels.
Right.
In Germany, it is against the law to display a swastika. So that is against the law. So when the neo-Nazis march in Germany, you know what they march with? The Confederate flag.
Wow.
Interesting. Megan, you were about to say something. You're from a family that should really have an army base, in my opinion, named after your dad. You know,
that's kind.
I mean, have they even discussed something? Well, but I mean, really, you want to name things after heroes. I thought that was the whole point. What's your take on all this?
Honestly, I hope this doesn't sound cheesy, but I've actually just been really proud of our country to be able to have these kind of discussions. And I think there's a lot of people in this country are having an ever-evolving perspective and really having their eyes opened with the history that's been made in the past few weeks. And I just keep thinking about our ancestors. Every woman on this show is related to a veteran, and they fought for this moment right now. And I think that we should all continue and hear both sides. And I'm totally open to these discussions right now. And quite frankly, I think we should take it on a case-by-case basis. And I do agree. I was actually shocked to find out that the Confederate flag was still being flown at NASCAR, just because it's one of those things that I thought we had moved on decades ago, but apparently we have not. So I'm happy that there are small steps, but I've just really been in a place where I'm trying to stay positive and really celebrate the fact that we don't live in Syria or Mongolia or someplace where we can't continue to grow and be better as Americans.
Right. Now, Sonny, I know you probably know this, but one of the NASCAR drivers who is black is driving the Black Lives Matter NASCAR now. And I think that's kind of fantastic.
He's a great driver, too.
He is a great driver, but the idea of beginning to discuss things that are meaningful for people at NASCAR, also telling us NASCAR is not one group, it is many groups. I think the conversation is a great one to have. Do you agree, son?
I do. You know, Whoopi, you and I enjoy race car driving, so it's a discussion that we've had, and I think what's interesting, and I completely agree with Megan's point. It's a time in history where people are being very reflective, being very introspective, and I'm encouraged by that. You know, I think people are starting to finally hear the perspective of their brother and their sisters, and you know, I think people need to be mindful of the divisiveness in our society of these Confederate statues, of the Confederate flags. I mean, I remember, I think I've told this story on the show before. I went to the Outer Banks with a group of friends, and one morning I was walking on the beach with my kids, and there were a group of guys on a pickup truck drinking beer with a big Confederate flag. I immediately went back to the house that we were staying at, and I wanted to leave. I felt unsafe because that's what the Confederate flag symbol means to me. I was immediately, I was fearful for my children. And so I want people to know that there are Americans that feel that way when they see those symbols. And if we're at a point in our society where we're feeling the sentiments of our fellow Americans, that's a very good place to finally be.
Yeah, and I want to end this by saying, you know, if we're going to name our Army barracks and our different Army bases and Navy bases and all of the bases that hold our fighting people, why not name them for heroes of our country?
Yeah.
I'm saying there's no reason why there shouldn't be the John McCain
Can I say one more
base.
thing, too?
It just makes no
sense. It's
sense.
not just that, though.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
people
'Cause in
like
parts
the
of this-
Navajo Code Talkers who saved
Wait,
us
wait.
in World War II, the Tuskegee Airmen.
Yes.
There are lots of people and
Yes.
throughout history minorities that are not properly recognized, and I actually think a good synergy between people who love military history and want to make a good change, we could start honoring people like that. And there seems to be very little
I love
recognition
it.
in the way there should be. So start with the Navajo Code Talkers and Tuskegee
in
Airmen.
parts of this country,
Yeah,
in parts
I love
of this
that.
country, those are their heroes. Get
The
real.
Navajo Code
I know,
Talkers are
but-
huge heroes in Arizona because they're from Arizona.
And they are Native Americans and
Yes.
fought for this country,
And won World War
also
II for us.
Were treated. Yes, they did, because we couldn't have broken the codes without the Native American Code Talkers. Look that up, y'all.